Welcome back to a new episode of Coach's Corner, this time boys basketball edition. I'm Jake Lancer with Danny Lynch for HWTV, and today we're joined once again by varsity head coach David Rebibo. The Wolverines are the number one team in the state and prepare for their toughest week of the season. Coach, welcome back. It's been a while since we've been able to chat, and there's a lot to get into. So let's just sort of start a couple weeks ago, and we'll work our way up to the forefront of the games this week. But going back a couple weeks, triple overtime thriller against Bishop Montgomery in the Jumpman Take Flight Invitational. You edged out the Knights to really sort of claim that number one spot in the state. How did you manage the emotions and fatigue of the team in a 3 overtime game?
It was a lot. First off, not much of a neutral site game, playing in Bishop Montgomery's backyard and having a majority of their fans there, which was really good. It was a great experience for us looking back, but obviously in the moment, the game's about to tip and you're just seeing like 2 full bleachers of students from Bishop Montgomery. You're like, okay, we're on the road. It was a great game. From a defensive standpoint, I thought we executed our game plan about as well as we could. Had a few tough breaks with some shots dropping for them and kind of balls dying on the rim and falling in, things like that. But overall, our defensive execution was incredible. Offensively, I thought we were a little stagnant. Obviously, Brady Dunlap had a great game, and Trent Perry made some big plays, as well as Jacob Huggins, Robert Hinton. But we didn't shoot the ball particularly well, which was a great sign for me considering the level of play and us pulling the game out, knowing, hey, we could play better. So from that standpoint, great game for us. Obviously, rolling into last week off of a 3 overtime game, an emotional game. We tried to manage things. We went pretty light on Monday and then picked it up a little bit Tuesday, and then obviously had Crespi Wednesday, practice Thursday, which was, again, really light, and then Loyola, which ended up being a tough week for us in general. Those are 2 good teams that brought it and gave us a great game.
Again, triple overtime, I feel like, is practically unheard of in high school basketball. And you guys were fighting for a number 1 seed. You had your first loss of the season right before that. Each quarter, almost each quarter, you were coming from behind. Let's talk about the grit of this team, like how hard they fought. Like, what do you think the mindset and mental mentality and strategy was going into that game?
Well, I think anytime you have a chance to play a top 5 caliber team, it's exciting, especially in an event like that where there's so many people there and it's just a great environment. Those are the things that we try. Those are the kind of environments we want to place ourselves in heading into league play, because we know league is going to be packed every night, just about. And it was great. It was a great opportunity. We did lead for 3 quarters. Mm-hmm. We did trail in the 4th and then found a way. We had the lead with. I want to say it was under 50 seconds. We were up 1 in the 4th, and we just we didn't execute some things, but down the stretch, anytime we needed to stop a big rebound, a play, we made it, which is a testament to our guys' character, toughness, and belief in one another. It's not easy going on the road and doing that and to see that, and they've done it consistently for quite a while. Which speaks a lot to their character, their toughness, and their chemistry and belief in one another. When big plays needed to be made, they made them, and they did it together, which was great to see.
Yeah, you also highlighted earlier a couple of players, but I just want to focus on Brady Dunlap. He had 38 points, which was almost half your team's points. What does that say about him as a player?
Well, he's a great player. He was obviously in the zone, and our guys kept finding him. And when we're doing that and playing that way, we're really good. But that doesn't happen unless Jacob's doing what he does, and Trent and Robert and Nick and Christian and Brando, Dom, Amir, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. It's about our whole team. If in order for Brady to be what Brady needs to be, guys have to do their jobs, and it's all connected, and I think our guys know that. But for him to have a night like that and play the way he did was pretty special.
You guys took on 2 tough Mission League opponents last week, and while you did say that it was a tough week for you guys, you ended up pulling away at the end of both of those games, winning comfortably. But both of those teams tested you guys in different ways, whether it was Joe Sterling on Crespi having a great game, or just the Loyola team being a very aggressive, gritty team down the stretch. What were your big takeaways from last week?
First, being a really tough week academically, I was concerned coming off of a triple overtime Saturday game. Tough week academically, heading up with midterms and the end of the semester. we were worried, fatigue setting in a little bit, and frankly, our home environment Wednesday wasn't what we hoped it would be. I think we've got an incredible team, and we have this thing called the Fanatics, but I don't know how you could be fanatic if you don't show up. So hopefully they start showing up. But we kind of worried. You're always worried about complacency, especially at the midpoint of league play and things like that. So for us, it was just about, can we give our best effort? Can we give our best concentration? And once we did, we pulled away in both games. But two really well coached teams that do a really good job, and that'll make noise in the playoffs.
You take on a rival in Notre Dame this Wednesday, and you've taken on some really good teams so far this season. But the difference that at least I've seen so far with Notre Dame is that it isn't one or two guys that can take over a game. In my opinion, it's three, potentially four guys that can really score and create their own plays. How do you sort of try and combat a team like that?
Well, we have to do a great job in being connected defensively and making sure that we're making their catches and things a little more difficult than normal. For us, that's always a priority. But the biggest thing is just competing. If we're competing, if we're doing the job that we need to do on and off the ball, if we're rebounding at the level we know we can, we think we can make a lot of teams nice difficult, especially with our versatility and our length.
Also, I feel like these two upcoming games are games that everyone at Harvard Westlake, students, teachers, athletes, they all look forward to Notre Dame and Sierra Canyon, but specifically also Sierra Canyon this year, since this team's coming back at you guys with a vengeance from last year. I mean, that game was an away game for us, and you guys pulled through, and it was a fantastic game. But what is your team's mindset at, since I feel like this is just a really big game that you need to focus on?
I think they're anxious and excited. I sensed it yesterday. Our guys had a little pep in their step at practice, which was great. Attention to detail was there. It's no mystery. We know Notre Dame's incredibly talented and has played a great schedule, and they're a really good team. We know Sierra Canyon's incredibly talented and played a great schedule and is a really good team. And there's nothing to hide from. There's nothing to worry about. At the end of the day, we have to be who we are. We have to compete at a high level, and we have to do our job. Last year's last year. While we learned from the past, we got to move on from it as well and grow. And I think we have. Our team's made great strides, and our guys are ready to compete, and they're excited, and they should be.
Yeah. Also, speaking on your Fanatics, I mean, I've heard too. I feel like everyone's heard that Notre Dame's going to be a packed game, Sierra Canyon's going to be a packed game. And, well, at Notre Dame, it's obviously going to be a Notre Dame crowd, and then at Harvard Westlake, it's going to be a Harvard Westlake crowd. But what are you looking for these teams to do in two different environments? One's going to be everyone going against Harvard Westlake, and then one's going to be everybody for Harvard Westlake. So what are you guys looking to do?
We just need to be us. Home or away, don't get out of character. Do your job. Do it to the best of your ability. Compete at a high level. And just play with each other. When we've done that, we have a special group, and we faced some challenges already. The Bishop Montgomery was a great taste of Mission League road play, which I thought was great for us. So I think our guys are going to be fine. They've played in these environments before. I mean, we played a CIF championship game on the road. So most of these guys were on that team. So I think they'll be ready, and I think they'll be excited, and they're looking forward to it.
Looking at games of this type of caliber, even last year against Sierra and Notre Dame, obviously the stars are going to show up and they're going to play big games. But in my opinion, it really comes down to a guy that maybe isn't being looked at as much by the opponent that makes a couple big plays down the stretch. Last year against Sierra, I feel like Trent had a really nice game, and maybe people weren't expecting that when he was a little bit younger as a sophomore. So in your opinion, looking at this week, who's one guy that maybe we should look out for?
Well, listen, I think at the end of the day, as you've seen in our box scores, every night somebody else could be the guy, whether it's been Nick Amenya, Christian Ori, Brando Fuqua's had a couple great games, and then obviously Robert Trent, Jacob Brady. The beauty of our team is we're a team, and I don't think we rely on one person to do everything. We rely on everybody to do everything, and I think when we're in that mindset, we're really tough and really special. And so that's what I want. That's who I'm expecting. I expect our starters to get off to great starts and drive home our consistency and effort and continuity. And I expect our bench guys to come and give us a spark and do a great job at what they do. And if they do that, I think we'll be where we want to be and be in position. That being said, and I've said this, we're not winning the Mission League championship this week, and we're not winning a CIF championship this week. There's still the Mission League tournament, and there's still the CIF playoffs. So our goal right now is to continue to get better and grow. And how these games go will be great, and obviously we want to win and compete, but we're not winning or losing state or league, or state, or CIF this week. So we just have to keep that in mind and make sure we continue to work.
Yeah, you make a really good point there. We've definitely spent a lot of time talking about Notre Dame and Sierra, and obviously there's a need for that with the caliber of the games. But right then on Saturday, you take on a really good Rancho Christian team. So how do you sort of handle going into two really big league games and then taking on an open league caliber opponent only the next day, if I'm correct?
Well, Jake, thanks for reminding me that I haven't always been praised for my scheduling. Obviously, we feel like to win the Open Division, you have to win 3 very tough games, or to have a chance. And I felt it was important that we provide that at some point throughout the season. Obviously, we tried to do that with traveling and things like that. We've played some great games, and we've played some games that, hey, we hope they'd be a little bit better. That being said, I view this week as a great opportunity and a precursor to what we're going to need to be to win an Open Division title, and that's win 3 games in a span of 7 to 10 days. So if we can do that, hey, we're really setting ourselves up. And if we don't, then we can learn from it, grow, and fix what needs to be fixed in order to do that when playoffs come around.
Yeah, speaking on caliber of teams, I'm going to kind of hop back to like Alemany, Loyola, Crespi. Those games actually all had gaps in them. I think Alemany was a 30-point game, and I think it was 20-10 or something around that. Those are big gaps for games, and then you have incoming of games that are probably going to be super tight. What do you think that does to the mindset and like kind of mojo of the team?
I think our guys kind of know. I think it's very hard sometimes while you're in season and as much basketball as our team plays to kind of stay focused all the time and be engaged. Like, I don't need to remind our guys what we need to do and how we need to do it against Notre Dame and Sierra Canyon. But Crespi's a really good team, and they've won 16 games. Loyola's a really good ball club. They're really well coached, and they do a really good job. So for us as a staff, we're obviously incredibly worried about those games because there's complacency is a killer, and we want to avoid that whenever possible. And we want to make sure that we are continuing to grow and get better. We know we're not going to be our best every night. We know we're going to have bad shooting days. I say this to our guys all the time. Sorry, Jake, if the Detroit Pistons can go into Milwaukee and beat Milwaukee, if Washington State can go to McHale and beat Arizona in Arizona, Harvard-Westlake can lose a game, and it's possible, and it's okay. And it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean we're not going to win league. It doesn't mean we're not going to win a CIF championship. It means we're human and things happen, and I think that's an important lesson and something that I try to remind our guys and myself regularly.
In looking at the Mission League, there's a lot of phenomenal guard play all around, whether, you guys took on Peyton White of Crespi last week. You got Isaiah Elohim this week, Caleb Foster. I could keep on going, but essentially the question is, how do you guys have to rely even more on guys like Trent Perry, Robert Hinton to really play to the best of their abilities every single night?
Well, listen, going back to they're human, and they're going to have bad nights, and they're going to have great nights, and that's part of it, and that's why we have the depth that we have, and that's why we value the team. I think therein lies our strength, because now you can depend on Christian, Ori, and Brando Fuqua, and Amir Jones, and Josh Engelberg, and the list goes on and on. But the reality is that with Nicholas Himenia, Brady Dunlap, Jacob Huggins, you don't need to press. You can have a bad night. Just continue to compete and play great basketball. And if we do that, we think we're going to have a great chance. And, this league it's special. I told our guys the other day, like, you may not be in this kind of environment situation ever, and that's okay. But appreciate it, because you'll never know the value of a moment until it's gone. A little Dr. Seuss for you guys right there.
I mean, earlier we talked about what the players are feeling with this new environment, with what we hope is going to be a packed gym. But I want to ask, what are you feeling for this game? How are you feeling for the upcoming week?
I'm excited. I mean, this is what it's about, right? Competing, being at your best when your best is needed, right? Little John Wooden for you there, Jake. This is what you kind of live for. Obviously, the highs are really high, and you feel really good about a Bishop Montgomery 3 overtime win. But when you don't meet expectations, or you don't play to the level that you're supposed to against somebody else, you also feel the lows there, because you worry about complacency and chemistry and all these kinds of things that can come and go. So for me, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to see our players compete when the lights are the brightest.
Lastly, obviously you guys have this culture built inside the locker room, and everyone on the team, in the staffing, everything like that. But after this gauntlet of games this week, what do you want everyone outside of that locker room to know about this team, and what do you think it'll show?
The biggest thing is that it's a team. It's a special group of young guys, and if you're waiting for big games to come and see it, you're missing out. That's the number one thing I would say, because our school, they represent our school, they represent our student body, our faculty, and they're some of the best kids and players in the area. And I think it's something that we shouldn't take for granted. It's something that we should absolutely support and be there for as much as possible. No different than any other team. Our girls soccer team is doing great. Our girls basketball team has a really tough game against Chaminade coming up. We should be there to support. This is what it's about. This is what high school sports is about. Where you're ranked or the big games shouldn't be the only reasons we come out and support. We should come and support each other, because it's the right thing to do, and we're supporting our community, and we're supporting our peers and whatnot.
Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to you guys this week.
Thank you.
I'm Danny Lynch with Jake Lancer. We'll see you next time on Coach's Corner. Enjoy the game.